Hey guys, it's Eclipse, and today is gonna be a little different. If you read the disclaimer in the beginning of the video and didn't skip all the way through, um, you want to make sure that you're reading the disclaimer first before you continue watching this video. I will be covering some things that happened to me growing up, and it was real. Um, it is very hella spooky, especially for me. Um, and I'm listening to music so I can talk about this and relax as I talk about it because it's something that is a very sensitive matter to me. Um, Again, if you read the disclaimer, I did mention that I have tried to talk about this to other people before, and it didn't work out so well. I wasn't a YouTuber when I talked about it. I was only like 14 or 13 years old. And I tried talking about it to a counselor. Um, and that didn't go so well. I tried talking about it to other people and they called me crazy or cursed or other hurtful things. Um, so I just want to make sure that, you know, if you're watching this, I'm being 100% honest. I am not, again, I'm not exactly comfortable doing this. The only reason why I'm doing it is because I have to get it off my chest. Um, and I have to push myself to do it. So, um, paranormal activity started for me when I was very young. I had no idea what it was called, why I saw the things I saw, or Um, another thing, something that, therapists would ask is if I watched any horror movies at a young age, because usually that's what would, influence kids to see things because they're afraid. Um, I watched no horror movies. I barely watched movies, actually, when I was a little kid. I played outside. I read books, I colored. That's what I did. I didn't really um, watch movies. I mean, the only movies I really watched was like Disney, The Lion King, which is still my personal favorite and has been for years. Um, so when I would say around 5-ish, is when these reoccurring things happen more often. When I was 3, I told my dad and my mom that I heard things, um, but I didn't know why. When I turned 5 is when things really took a turn. It escalated. I got possessed when I was 5. I was at my uncle's house and we were having dinner. We were all sitting down. I don't really remember much of the possession itself. I just remember what I was doing before that happened. Um, and actually, as I was um, possessed, because I don't like using that word, but that's what happened. Um, as I was possessed, I had this in and out of consciousness where I don't remember anything, and then I snap back into consciousness and I remember certain things. Um, you guys can go ahead and do the research for me if that's supposed to happen. I've never actually taken the time to research it and, see if that's supposed to occur. Because I don't really like to think about it. I don't like to get into it. I don't want to know. I just like what happened and that's it. But yeah, I was 5 when I had my first possession. I didn't know what happened. Like the last thing I remember is I jumped out at my mom, and my mom screamed my name. She was the one who told me that after I jumped out at her, she held me and she was hugging me, and she was like, "It's okay, it's okay." I don't remember any of that. I just remember just jumping out at her, and um she screamed my name, and everything was kind of like a quick blur after that. And everything turned black. When I regained consciousness, I was in a car, which was my dad's car. And he was driving, and he looked back at me through the view mirror, and he was like, "Are you okay, sweetheart? Are you okay? Are you alright?" And I was just like, "Yeah, yeah." I tried to say I was fine. I was trying to say, "Yeah, yeah, I'm fine," but it wasn't working. When I tried to speak, I actually couldn't form words. I was just crying, crying, crying. My mom, she held my hand through the whole car ride. Um, and when we got home, she held me close. Something that, if you ask my parents, um, ever since I was younger than 5, I couldn't sleep by myself. I always had a very, very hard time sleeping by myself. I had to sleep with someone, to know that I was safe, to know that I was okay. Usually doctors or therapists say that it's normal for a child to do that, especially in my circumstances, because I'm not going to share everything I've been through, but there's a reason why I had to sleep with my parents. And it doesn't have to do with paranormal, it actually has to do with something else. But I'm not going to cover that today. So I was, um, you know, years passed after that. I didn't think about it. I thought, that it never really happened. I had it in dreams, and, well, it wasn't dreams, it was more like nightmares. I had it in nightmares, and I was like, why do I keep getting this one specific nightmare? And one day I came to my mom and I asked her, and she talked about it with me, and she was like, that actually happened. So, um, from that day on, I was just like, what am I supposed to say about that? It's something that I can't really disclose with people I become friends with or I associate myself with, because then I don't want to be judged and called like I'm crazy, because I'm not crazy. What do I know at 5? Like, I'm 5. Um and I've gotten into arguments with people because they're just like, "Oh, you're just probably just like a satanist kid or whatever." I'm not. I actually, like, I don't know, it's kind of, like I said, it's hard to explain. But um I before I got older, like before I hit 10 or anything, I stopped playing with my toys. I was not into playing. Every time I did play, I would always make the toys beat up each other, or they always got into a fight. Um, Something that maybe triggered the first possession was, ever since I was little, as much as a lot of people describe me as a very happy kid, I was also a very angry kid. Again, it has to do with what happened to me years before that, before I turned 5, and I'm not gonna talk about it. But um, from that area is where I got my anger. Um, do I think it's very messed up and plays a big part as to why, when I was little, it was the reason why I was angry? Yes. But also because I didn't get along well with other kids in school. I wasn't a bully. I didn't pick on people. They picked on me. Um, I kind of stood out like a sore thumb, and they just, not everybody, but like certain people were just jerks, and they're just like, I still to this day, um, get called names and stuff, but I don't care. When I was younger, I cared a lot. Um, I think as I've grown, I kind of stopped caring along the way. Um, I'm not heartless or cold or anything, but I'm just not, like, I'm not emotionally entwined with my emotions either. So I'm kind of just very, like, I guess you could say, like, oblivious. Perhaps. Maybe that's the proper word. Um, so after 5, I had more encounters. I am like trying to be calm and relaxed with this, but I really, really do hate this. After being 5 years old, I was told by whatever I heard that if I followed them, that there would be promises for me. I told my dad this, and he was like, just ignore it. And I said, okay. So I ignored it. Now, I really, 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 like, really hate paranormal activity, anything that has to do with like objects moving or dolls moving or any of that just creeps me out. So if you guys want to do me a favor, um, I don't really remember his name, but I'll ask my dad or my mom because they know the person's name, like the spirit thing's name, because it has a name. He's known, actually, as creepy as that sounds, but yeah, he's known. um the only reason why I have this problem is because my one of my family members did witchcraft and dark magic, and so from my mom's timeline to my aunt to me, this person has been following us. My mom has stories that she could share. She's told me, not all of them, I'm sure, but she has told me a lot of them. My aunt hates talking about it. She won't even mention it because it was that scary. And the fact that now it's my turn is just messed up in all ways. When I'm like already forgetting what I was gonna say. When I get the name of this guy, um, I will either put it in the comments below this video, and you guys can go ahead and look him up because I don't want to look it up. I just don't. Um, but he's a real person, and he has a name, and I'm just like, okay. And I'm like watching my surroundings because I'm like, I get shaky. Like, I just I don't like talking about it. And so yeah, I'll do that. You guys do that. When by the time I hit by the time I hit 8 years old, I no longer played with toys at all. I hid all my dolls um in the bottom of a container, and I didn't play with them anymore. I stopped playing. I just used to sit there and watch my older brother play, and I didn't play at all. My imagination was scattered all over the place. Since I was very small, I've always had nightmares, or also known as night terrors. You can look that up if you don't believe me. Um, and it's something that I don't really have much anymore. It kind of, I did have it actually not too long ago, but it kind of decreased when I got older. I think last time I had like a really, really bad nightmare was maybe a year ago. Yeah, about a year ago. Um, when I turned 10 is when I had my second encounter. So, when I turned 10, um, I had these very strange things happening. Um, the house we used to live in when I was 5 years old, um, was a different apartment. When I was 10, it was a different apartment. It wasn't the same. So it's a different house. Um, Same problem. The only difference is it got worse. When I was 10 years old, I actually saw things. When I was 5, I didn't see anything. I did, but I didn't really. It wasn't the way that it was when I was 10, because when I actually got possessed when I was 5, there was like this thing clinging to the ceiling, um, and I just froze, and I just couldn't move, couldn't talk, couldn't do anything, and from there it went pitch black. But when I was 10, um, I saw things that I couldn't figure out. Okay, so I just want to clarify that it's not just one person who's been chasing the girls in my family. It's actually two people, but one of them, and I can describe to you what he looks like, but I really don't want to. Um, but he has like this tall Lincoln hat, and he wears like a black cape, and he has no facial features, like none. And like it's just like scary, just like especially at night. So my mom would ask me to go downstairs to get something, and it was like in the middle of the night. um when I would go downstairs to get something, there would be like sorry there would be like creepy noises coming from the living room, and the whole atmosphere from half of the hallway was all like freaking cold, like ice, like it just became Antarctica in half of the house. And the other half, where I was standing, was room temperature. And the AC in that house wasn't that great, so there is no way possible that half the house could be like super cold while the other half is just like room temperature. And it wasn't even like half, it's just like the living room only is the only place that's cold, and like every other place in the house is just like hot. um I went downstairs to get something, and sorry, there's like someone walking outside. I went downstairs to get something, and I heard a noise, and my whole instincts just kicked in. It was just like, nope, 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 no, I'm going upstairs. I ran upstairs without even getting what I needed to get, and I tripped halfway. halfway up the stairs. It kind of felt like not like a physical hand grabbing me, but like atmosphere only, just like kind of like just pulling me back. And I a lot of the times felt like screaming whenever I had to go downstairs to get something and it was like pitch black down there. I don't know what it was, but like the living room would be pitch black. Like you can't even see the couch and the couch is white. Like how I didn't understand that. And so I would go upstairs and my mom was like, "Did you get what I told you to get?" And I was like, "No, I can't do it." And she's like, "Okay, so go downstairs with your brother." So I went downstairs with my older brother. And sometimes it's funny because he go downstairs with me and we would both go downstairs together at the same time, and he'll just stop at the bottom step and he'll look at me and he's like, "So go get what we need to get." I'm like, "You're just gonna leave me? Like you're just gonna stand there and leave me to get this stuff by myself?" And he's like, "I'm not going over there." Like, okay. So I will grab his hand. He's older than me. I'll grab his hand and I'm like, "Come on, let's go." So we walk into the kitchen, which the kitchen was like right here, and like the living room is like right there. Like all you have to do is like, so like the stairs, you go down the stairs, and then there's a wall right there where the stairs end. So like there's a wall right here. And all you gotta do is turn that way and go straight, and the living room is right there. But if you go like this and then you turn that way, that's where the kitchen is. So I go in the kitchen. My little brother was born. He was like in months age, and I was 10. And ow, my leg hurts. And I would get his milk. My little brother, my older brother, will be standing there with me, and he's just like looking around. I'm like, "Stop it, you're making me more nervous." He's like, "I can't help it, like there's just this weird feeling." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but you looking around is gonna make my anxiety worse." So the we're gonna go back upstairs, but before we get back upstairs we have to turn the kitchen light off, which means we're gonna be in the total darkness. And sometimes me and my brother would fight over who would turn the light off first, because whoever turns the light off first is the last person to touch the stairs. And I'll be like, "You turn the light off, I'm gonna go upstairs." He's like, "Why me?" I'm like, "Because you're the older one." So sometimes it was funny, but like the aura itself is not at all funny. It's not a joke at all. And so we would both stand there and turn the light off. Then we would both walk up the stairs at the same time. My brother like bolted up the stairs like the Flash. Like he went phew. And me, I would try to do the same thing, but for every time I did, I would always fall. And like it would always be in the middle of the staircase, and I would like use my hands and I like push myself up and then like keep going. And I would get to the room, and it always felt like the minute I touched like the light of that hallway upstairs, whatever was chasing me just like instantly vanished. Like I kid you not, like the aura itself, whenever I was in darkness, just felt like someone else is just standing right behind me. And then when I hit light, it just like gone, like just gone. And so my mom knew this. She was aware that she saw our behavior, and she was just like, "Why do you guys always run up the stairs whenever I ask you to get something?" And we're like, "Because there's something spooky down there. Like it's really, really spooky." And I was 10. I was just 10 years old. Not only that, suspiciously there was an attic, and it was bolted in, like bolted in. You cannot go up there. And yet we would hear footsteps coming from the attic. And we're like, who on earth is walking up there? Like, the thing is bolted in. How do you just randomly just like, what do you do? Like, vanish? You turn into thin air and just like go up there and then you walk up there? Like, and so we were just like, no. And it would always be at a specific time. Every time. Same thing. Then we had a cousin of my mom move in with us. And my dad said what he did was unfair because he would go up there purposely, like he unbolted it. He would go up there and then during the day he would paranoid me and my older brother because the attic is right above our room. And so he would paranoid us by walking up there back and forth. And we would both, like, me and my older brother didn't know this, but we were like, why is there always, like, footsteps up there? It's just creepy. And then, like, just remembering it alone, it's just, I'm sorry, I'm just, like, I really hate this. Like, when we, when we, when he left, I was still 10, elementary school, 5th grader. My trouble with friends got worse. Girls picked on me, shoved me around and stuff. And I was just like, no, this is not, it's not working for me. Like, I'm dealing with paranoid stuff when I go home, and then when I go to school my anxiety kicks in, and it's just not healthy for me. So then I would come home and it became a daily thing. Footsteps, voices, creaking noises, moving stuff around, like all that stuff became ordinary. It was just like, this is my life. When there was one Pacific night, I was talking to my mother. She was doing the dishes. And we were talking about food or something, like what to eat for dinner tomorrow or something like that. And like, the front door handle was moving. And we're like, what on earth? Who's outside at like 2 a.m. in the morning? Like, so I go to the window because there was a window in the dining room area and it shows the door outside. And so I go to the window and I look out there. Kid you not, there's nobody there. Nobody. And so like, me and my mom, we look at, we like, she's like, no, there has to be somebody out there. They're just like little kids trolling us. I'm like, Mom, it's 2 in the morning. She's like, she goes to the window, she checks, and she's like, there's nobody there. I was like, that's what I said. And then so we go and we stand in front of the door and we're just looking at the handle, and it's just like, the entire time, like, we're like, what is going on? Then I'm like, okay, this is an XO no for me. So I ran upstairs and I went to get my dad, and he comes down and he's like looking at the door handle from like the middle of the stairs, and he's like, what on earth? And we were all like, yeah, that's what we said. So then he goes in his room. My dad's funny, but he goes in his room, he gets his baseball bat, and he's like, well, if anybody tries to break in here, they're all gonna get their heads smashed. I was like, okay. He's like, you guys are allowed to sleep with your room locked tonight. We never lock our door, but that night we did. I swear, when I say that night just got worse, it got worse. At precisely 3 in the morning, because we had a clock. At precisely 3 in the morning, there was like these noises coming from my parents' room. And I was like, doesn't sound like my mom and dad. I was still awake. My older brother was asleep. I, at 10 years old, was having a harder time going to sleep, actually. At 3 in the morning, there's like this black thing that came through the wall. It went from my parents' room to our room, and my bed is right at the wall. Like, it's in the corner of that Pacific wall. So, like, the wall right there is on the other side. That's my parents' room. And so, my bed is right there. The freaking thing comes out of the wall, and it just stands there and stares at me. And I'm just like, I just want to go, and now I finally wish I was asleep. So, the thing stares at me, and, like, it just stands there. And then it walks, but it doesn't look like it's walking. It looks like it's floating. And I'm like, no, this cannot be happening. Not me. Why me? It floats right to where my head is and just stands there. And I'm like, I didn't look up because I did not want to see the thing. I didn't want to see its face. Nothing. I just laid there and I stared at the sheets on the bed, and it moved its hand over my shoulder. Oh my god. The feeling of that. It's just okay. It just put its hand right over my shoulder blade. The thing was just cold, like ice cold air just blew across my shoulder, and I was just like, no, just no, this is not happening to me. Then the thing just moves, and it goes over to my brother, and I was too scared to look or move or do anything, so I just stayed frozen where I was, but I knew it moved on to my brother. My brother, when he sleeps, he still is like this. He doesn't see, feel, or hear nothing. He's in a coma while he's sleeping. I easily wake up with any sound. Well, almost any sound. If you're just yelling my name, that's not gonna work. But yeah. So the thing moves over to where he is, and then my brother doesn't react. He's still sleeping. And so I finally look up, and even though the stupid thing is on his side of the room, it's staring at me. I'm like, what in the world is up? What is going on? All of a sudden my voice went out. I was like, what is going on? What is happening? Why? What is this thing? All I knew was that it was just hella scary, very, very terrifying. And I was just, at 10, just mm-mm. Then it stood in the middle of the room, and it went up in the air, and just disappeared through the ceiling to the attic. I was just like, oh hell no. No. No, this can't be happening. I was just like, no. Please, no. Okay, so remember that. Keep that in your mind. Now, we're gonna go from there to a few months later. I was supposed to go to sleep. And I said goodnight to my parents. They were downstairs. My dad was in the living room. When the lights are all on, everything is fine. Everything is normal. He was playing a video game. My mom was cleaning the kitchen, and my aunt was talking to them. At the time, she was staying with us. By the way, my aunt can leave a comment down below if you don't believe me when I tell you what happens next. Actually, do me that favor, Auntie. If you are watching this, you can leave a comment down below, and it doesn't have to be long. Just, I know you remember this. You could just say, yeah, that's all I need, okay? Because I know you hate talking about it. I hate talking about it. Okay. But yeah, my aunt hates talking about paranormal and stuff like that. I hate it too. So I was going to sleep. I didn't fall asleep yet. My aunt was in high school. I was still in 5th grade. And it kind of felt like somebody just went like that in my back. And I knocked out. I knew I didn't fall asleep because I was still conscious of everything. I just couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't talk. Even though I was trying to speak, I couldn't open my mouth. I couldn't do anything. I was just like stuck, and my mind was playing this visual where there was like these spinning skeleton things, and they were just rotating and rotating and rotating around me, except I can't see myself. I just see these rotating, spinning skeleton things, and the closer they got, the more I couldn't breathe. And like, from my aunt's point of view, she told me that she went upstairs to go to sleep, and she couldn't even lay down next to me because she said there was something off about me. I was kicking and growling and crying at the same time. And she was like, she was scared for me. So she ran downstairs and she told my parents. My parents came upstairs. My mom grabbed me, she said, and I wouldn't respond back to her. I wouldn't wake up. It just looked like I was just stuck. And I was having trouble breathing. Now, when my dad, came into the picture, he said he leaned me up against a wall and was praying, and then he, like, smacked my forehead, and from there, I actually remember because my eyes flew open and I was just staring at my dad, and my dad was like, "What happened?" And the same thing that happened to me when I was 5 happened again, where I couldn't speak. I just cried and cried and cried. And that was my second time. A third time happened also when I was 10. And I was also going to sleep. And I was awake. My aunt was still staying with us. I think this was like a few weeks later. And I was almost 11 actually. The basically the same thing happened but differently. Um I My aunt said I was shaking, like shaking badly, and it looked like I was fighting something. My mom said the same thing. My dad did the same thing. And the first time it didn't work. The second time he did it worked. And I came back to consciousness, and again just crying, just no words. Um and the I just, like, to this day, I'm still don't like really talking about all the things in my past because I just bad memories. When we moved from that place was when I was 12. Um, and we've been living there for since I was in first grade. So basically, 5 whole years. No, actually 6 years. Because I was in 7th grade when we finally moved from there, and I've been there since first grade. But then when we moved here, because we've been here ever since, I've had similar encounters, but I'm not gonna talk about all of it in one video, because then I don't want the whole video to be like an hour long. But yeah, it was just, I have proof of those things. And actually, I have a picture of myself when I was 4. I wasn't 5 yet, but I was 4. And this was me when I was 4. I was in preschool. And it's just, I don't want to talk about all of it in one video. If you guys want me to make a part 2 and share what happened after that, because I did have 3 other times, it's a total of 6, which is a bad number. But if you want to hear what happens after that, make sure to leave it in the comments. If you guys had similar experiences, make sure to leave it in the comments if you want to. You don't have to. It's a very strong, sensitive topic to talk about, especially on a social media platform. To share this kind of stuff is a risk because people who share stuff like this either get backlash or they get support. I'm not looking for either. I'm just looking for a way to get it off my chest, that's all. I've been carrying this for years. From the time I was 10 to now, that's 7 years ago. And I'm a lot better now than I used to be, but I still struggle a lot with my anger. My temper is so flareable that one simple question and I'm already triggered. Again, it depends on the question though too. But yeah, if you guys want to hear part 2, make sure to leave it in the comments. Like I said, my aunt can vouch for this too because she was there when it happened. Actually, for all 3 she was there. And yeah, that's about it for this. This is part 1. I don't know if I'll make a part 2 because this stuff is like very unsettling for me. Like, I just don't really like talking about it because it's a lot. And like, I would advise not watching this when it's dark. Unless you really like to spook yourself out. But like I said, the person who's been after my family is a real person. They're not alive. It's actually just a spirit. They nicknamed that specific name, which I don't really remember because I don't care to. All I know is that he's freaking hella scary and I just want to be left alone. But if you guys want to know his name, leave it in the comments also, and I will reply back and I'll let you guys know his name, and you guys can do research on him if you want. That can be your like history project or something. But I think I'm done now because I don't know if I'm gonna sleep tonight. I mean, I am doing sleepover with my brothers, but good thing I am, because if I was by myself I'd probably just be like all night. So yeah, I no. But that's about it for this video. If you guys want a part 2, make sure to put it in the comments, because I'm not going to repeat myself 1,000 times. And yeah, that's it for this. So, bye guys, and I will see you guys in another video. So, yeah, bye.